Hello YouTube, this is Morgan Airspeed Prime here with my next Avatar book review. This one is going to be for the Avatar Last Airbender Art of the Animated Series hardcover 2nd edition Deluxe Edition. So let's immediately start off with just this sort of kind of unboxing experience that at least I got with the book. I don't know if it by default everywhere you go to pick up this book or you order it from is going to ship it out like this, but because it has like the barcode on the front and like the price and stuff like that, I'm guessing this is Dark Horse doing this packaging to acknowledge that it is a bit of a collector's item and that you don't want to just see the sort of slipcase there out on the shelf potentially getting a bit messed up. So yeah, this is the way it came. Obviously this itself came in other packaging from where I got it from, Book Depository. So when I opened it, this is what I got. And then when you open this up, which is literally just, you know, opening it up like so, you can see you do get your slipcase inside. So if I just take this out and put this off to the side, this is basically what you get. So you get your book and your lithograph in your slipcase. And this was sealed in plastic. Obviously I have opened it to take a look at it ahead of the review and stuff like that. So it's sealed in plastic inside that cardboard box. And obviously the way I think it was you got this sort of backing bit also sealed on this side. So it was kind of like this. So that's the way you sort of get it. There is a sticker on the bottom of the slipcase here, so I'm guessing I'll probably try and take that off very, very carefully at some point, but I'm not going to do it on camera here. And yeah, we'll just quickly take a look at the outside of the slipcase here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cover the sort of deluxe extra stuff about the book first, and then I'll get into the actual, you know, art book itself and covering the differences with that. So this is a slipcase, of course, as you can see here. Here's one side of it. This is the sort of plain side, but you can see it's got the element symbols all over it, you know, all 4 of them. Really, really nicely done. You can see there's not much going on at the top. It just sort of continues the pattern, and it's the same on the bottom. The spine, of course, is interesting in that this is the first of 5 deluxe art books that they're going to have. So this Avatar one and then the 4 Korra art books are going to also get deluxe releases, and they will overall make an image. And here's the first stage of that image. So you can see sort of the element symbols, 2 of them, air and fire on the sides. And it tells you on the kind of insert on the back what's going on here. So you can see when you collect all 5 deluxe editions, when you put them together, it makes this Rava and Vatu image across the 5 of them. All 5 slipcases are going to have different images on the other side, which, as you can see here, so for Avatar we get the glider with some kind of puffs of air. Pretty nice symbol to sort of represent Avatar. Overall, really, really nice. And then of course you can see your actual art book itself and the lithograph. So let's just slide these out. The quality of the slipcase is really nice. You can see it is pretty thick, and while, you know, there's a little bit of flex to it, when you have the book in there, it's really, really solid. So it fits very nicely, is the thing to say. So let's cover the lithograph here. This was the thing I had the most questions about with regards to. This is going to be a very telling thing about the quality of this as to how good value the deluxe edition is. So you get this, I don't know what you even call it, just kind of case, folio case or whatever. And when you open it up, you can see here is your lithograph. The lithograph is the cover for the 1st edition of the Avatar art book. And I've got to admit, this was super disappointing. It is literally just a print. It doesn't even seem particularly like super high quality. Like, it's well printed, I'll give it that. It's clearly on kind of quite nice paper, but there's like nothing on the back. It's not even like particularly thick. Like, it is card, it's not like a piece of paper, but when it says like lithograph, I definitely expected something a little bit more deluxe than just basically an art print. And it just feels like this is kind of where it feels like the most almost like money is wasted on this, in that, you know, did they even need to put this in something like this? Could this have not just been included within the packaging and not require this whole thing? Because this to me would imply that this is really like amazing and delicate and it's a collector's item and stuff like that, but it's not really, because it is just a print at the end of the day. And to me that just is kind of not great to see, that the lithograph just is very, very average in my books. Anyway, I was very let down when I opened this up, because I don't know, maybe it's just me, but when I think of the idea of like a lithograph, I definitely don't think of just a simple art print. And maybe I'm completely unaware of sort of the technical terms, and like maybe this is super high quality paper and I'm just unaware of it, but not particularly impressed, given that this is probably one of the more unique aspects of this release. I just feel that there's so much more they could have done. Better materials on this. Say something on the back, like number it or something like that to make it feel more special. Do something a little bit more with this cover for it, like have some symbols, some art on the front or back of this. It's just plain blue. This was probably the most disappointing part of the deluxe experience, basically, was just, this is it, really? So let's get into the next part of the deluxe thing, which was obviously, this is probably the most mysterious part of it in a way. The description for this book stated that the cover for the art book itself was going to have a sort of special deluxe treatment, was the word that they said. And they never really confirmed what that is. On the back, it says here, a foil embellished front cover. So if you get the standard version of this book, you are not going to get the foil embellishment. You're still getting this new piece of art here. Really nice. It's Joaquim dos Santos doing the general art, and then it's I think the colors are by Brian Konietzko. But you can sort of see here the arrows on obviously his eyes, his arrow, his mouth, and then the tattoo on his legs here, even here. Except for the little bit where the sort of ring kind of goes over here. The foil isn't on this section, but it covers here. So it's pretty subtle. I do like it. It actually is quite nice, and I think it works really cool. It's kind of hard to pick up on camera, but I think you can definitely tell it is like shiny. But it's, like I said, really, really subtle, and it's not anywhere else on the book. It's just those few little bits. And look, I wouldn't expect necessarily the whole cover to just have like foil bits like all over it, but given that you have like fire and like Aang doing quite an impressive like attack, could you not have even done like say foil for the title or foil for the Art of the Animated Series, given that you've done it here? It just feels like very like low effort, and I get they only wanted a subtle effect, but this is a key part of the deluxe edition, is that you get a slightly improved cover over the standard edition of the second edition art book, and that's all you really get. But it's a fantastic new image. I think it's definitely a reason to kind of almost rebuy the book. The spine of the book, as you can see here, kind of gold Dark Horse logo. I like the gold on red color scheme here. Art of the Animated Series second edition, Dark Horse books is what it says. Back cover is actually quite interesting. You get another kind of symbol here. So it's a boy in the iceberg symbol here. I actually thought this was quite cool. Again, the red and gold sort of color scheme is really nice. And then this art of Aang in ice with Appa is just really, really cool to see. So that's sort of the outside of this bit for the most part. And then the final deluxe thing, and this is just like really, really subtle, let me just get this here, is that it comes with a ribbon bookmark, which as you can see here is just kind of in the top here. It is gold, so that's kind of nice, and it's just to keep your place in the book. It's just a bookmark sort of built in. This is not something that is featured in the other Dark Horse hardcover books. They don't typically have a bookmark, so it is something extra, even though it is, again, very, very subtle overall. So there you have it. That's the deluxe section of the book. I'll get to talking about the actual interiors of this, what the new pages are, in just a second, but let me just do the review for the deluxe here and give some opinion at this point. I've got to say, like last night when I got this and I opened it up, I was very let down by the overall sort of deluxe experience. And given that, like, I covered this in news, like, quite heavily as the different bits and pieces came out, but actually having it in hand, about the only thing that I think properly impressed me was the slipcase itself. This is, to me, definitely the main thing of it being the deluxe edition, in that, like, these books are sort of collectible, and I suppose, like, the fact that we now have a foil cover that you want to keep safe, getting the slipcase is very nice, and just the idea that we're going to get this really cool image across the 5 books is nice, and this is definitely quality, the slipcase. The lithograph, super let me down. I like that they feature the old cover for the art book here, but the materials is exactly what I didn't want. I think I said multiple times when I covered this book in news videos that I hope the lithograph isn't just a art print. I hope it's not just like a piece of paper, a piece of card, and that's exactly what it is. And I felt that they kind of almost hid the fact that that was the case by calling it a lithograph and putting it inside this portfolio. Like, you really need to protect it when, you know, it's just a print. Like, it's no different than anything we've sort of seen before. The foil cover, it's nice, but it's so subtle. Like I said, there's only like such a small amount of the cover is foil. I think they could have done way more than what they actually did here. It's almost too subtle for me. The ribbon bookmark, obviously, to me, is basically a sort of nothing inclusion, in that, you know, do you really need a bookmark for an art book necessarily? I don't really think so. So this is where we have to get into the sort of like price analysis in this, in that the retail price for the deluxe edition, second edition art book is $79.99 US dollars, so $80 and what is it, 105 Canadian. So $80, so that means for me in Europe, basically 80 euros is the full retail price. To me, do not pay full retail price for this. I do not think it is worth that at all. Like, you should not ever be paying 80 for this product, in my mind. It's just not worth it. In the same way that ultimately, like, is 40, is the art book itself, just the book itself, worth 40? Probably not quite, and that's why, like, it's much better value at closer to 30. I paid tiny bit over, like, I think it was roughly 61 euro for my deluxe edition, and I still don't feel like I quite got great value for my money, even acknowledging that this is like a collector's thing, and so you're paying more for just the idea of it being a deluxe edition. But I don't feel like this and this slipcase and a little bit of foil in the cover and a ribbon bookmark is worth double the price, because it's still double the price in that online I would be able to get just the standard edition of the book without the slipcase and all the deluxe stuff, probably for like 30 or maybe closer to 25. So it's still paying double, even only paying 60. So it's still, the whole double thing still applies. And so ultimately, the only place you're probably going to be paying full price for this is if you buy it from a comic book store, because I think pretty much everywhere online you go to get this from is going to be well below that full retail price. I'd be shocked if many people who buy this book pay over $70 for it. And like I said, I still felt a little bit like, ugh, that's not great at only €60. So I don't know. I don't think anything is going to change. This looks to be the format for all of the deluxe books going forward, where we're going to get a new cover, we're going to get some new sketch material, which I'll get into in a second, in the books themselves. The deluxe version is going to have a little bit of foil treatment on the cover. You're going to get a lithograph of the old cover and your slipcase. Now, the thing is, the slipcase is basically identical across all of them as far as we're aware. It's just going to have different spine and a new image here. Otherwise, it's like the same general thing here. So the problem I think here is that for a deluxe edition, it feels like it's too set in stone what you get, and it's very by the numbers at this point that, oh, this is the set lithograph that you get. And I'd almost feel better if they just did something more with the lithograph, or like maybe change the colors, like keep the spine color the same, but change the colors completely on the slipcase from book to book. Maybe some people wouldn't like that, but once you, I think, keep this consistent, I think you're fine. And then, like, Angus in the Avatar state on this cover, so I do wonder, like, going into the next book, given that we've seen the cover for the new Korra Book 1 art book, what are they going to foil up on that cover, or to give it any sort of special treatment? Or I don't think we even necessarily know that that's the case, so it might just be exclusive to this Avatar book that's where the foil kind of treatment is. So yeah, I feel like I'm sort of locked into, like, I'm going to be getting all 5 of these deluxe editions, because I do really like the idea of having these on my shelf as a real collector's item. And it's just that kind of collector mentality that's the main reason why I want to get this. So my ultimate recommendation on this would be that if you have the original Avatar art book, do you need to get the new one? I'd say ultimately the answer is no in a lot of cases. I'll get into, like I said, in just a second, what the changes actually are. But I think for anyone coming to this who already has this, either I think the normal edition of the new art book or the deluxe edition, I don't think there's that much of an appeal unless you are a hardcore collector and don't mind double dipping, and that 90% of the book is this book, and that there's only a little bit extra included in this with the deluxe and with the standard edition. To people coming to this art book for the first time, that's a little bit of a different situation. Because if you haven't experienced this book that's been out for 10 years, and you just decided, oh, I'll get the deluxe edition, it's probably going to be really cool for you, because this whole book is new. You get the fancy cover at the same time, all this deluxe stuff, great. But for me, who did read that, this wasn't as impressive of a sort of experience opening up this deluxe set, because I didn't feel like there was enough that was new, just because this felt very thrown together. The slipcase is great, like I said, details on the cover is nice, but it's not quite enough to put it over the edge and make it really feel worth the money. So let's get into the new stuff in this book. So whether you get the deluxe edition or the standard edition, you still get the new cover. You just, I think if you just buy the book on its own, you're not going to get the foil treatment, because that's exclusive to deluxe edition. But you do get the new pages. Otherwise, I think the book is going to be pretty much identical. I believe, anyway. So the new things that are included in this are that there is a new foreword from Gene Yang. It does replace the foreword from the first edition of the art book from M. Night Shyamalan. So they take away that page and they include the foreword from Gene Yang. I think it's fine. Like, it's pretty by the numbers of just, praise for the show. I guess at this point it is a little bit more fitting ultimately that he is the one to talk about it rather than M. Night Shyamalan, and given that the movie project never really got off the ground properly, Gene Yang, the successful comics, it's a much, better way to have this work. So this is Gene Yang from June 2020. Here's a look at the page. I'm not going to read it all out just because I don't find it like the most interesting thing, but it is very fitting of just, he talks about how he first got into Avatar, someone handed him the DVD box set, and that this is the best cartoon series America has ever created. And, he was a little bit skeptical, but once he got into it, his whole family was relentlessly trying to get through it to watch it. He talks about, coming on to the comics and getting to work with Mike and Brian and create, parts of this universe. And huge praise for Mike and Brian as storytellers, as artists. He talks about the fan experience, going to Comic-Con and seeing people dressed up as the characters, and just really, really praising the general idea of Avatar. Beyond that, the very start of the book is pretty much the same, except the kind of inner pages are just gold, whereas the inner pages of the first art book, and like most of the Avatar books, do have the sort of element thing. So that's in the old one, and you get sort of a kind of, I suppose, fancier gold insert pages kind of here. It's the same with the back as well. I don't know whether you would view that as a positive or a negative. It's at least different. Beyond that, the book is identical as far as I'm aware. Now, I haven't gone through it page by page to compare, but I definitely checked like 10 or so pages of just like, I went randomly through the ATLA. The first book, I was like, okay, what's on this page in this book? Page numbers are identical because at the start of the book, the only thing that changes is literally they have taken out the M. Night Shyamalan page and replaced it with the Gene Yang forward page. So the page numbers are identical as you go through, and all of the new pages of content are right at the back. So as you go through this sort of introduction material, the book 1 stuff, the book 2 stuff, the book 3 stuff, it's all identical, it's all the same. There's no real changes in editing or anything like that I can see. The only changes come in is in Chapter 5, Ancillary Art, which again is the exact same as the first edition of the book for many of the first couple of pages. Like, you've seen this before, except you get to what usually would be sort of the second last page of the book, which is these 2 pages. But then when you turn the page, it continues, and you get this page to start off. And so the text here says, during the COVID-19 pandemic, Brian Konietzko began a series of pencil sketches which were auctioned off to raise relief funds for the Navajo Nation. Crew members Joaquim dos Santos and Laura Montgomery also joined in and donated their artwork to the cause. So this is all, 2020 artwork. And I think if you follow Brian on Instagram, you will probably have seen most of these pieces of art on his Instagram. The extras here are just these pencil sketches, these pieces of art done by the creators. It doesn't feature anything about the comics. It doesn't feature any of the new covers for the Blu-ray set or anything like that. It doesn't feature the special edition Blu-ray set art when that came out. None of that stuff. It's just this extra sort of, fan art, but official fan art from the creators. So it is really nice, of course, and in an art book it makes complete sense. You get a nice mix of Laura Montgomery, as I said, Joaquim dos Santos, and Brian Konietzko. As we go into the second page, you can see here we get some Suki, some Sokka, Toph on this page, if you can see it there. And yeah, it is, in my mind, really, really nice. You then get some Azula, some Zuko on these pages, some Iroh just up there at the top. Mei, Ty Lee, June, Boomy's there. That's Smellerbee, some kind of chibi style stuff with most of the team. And so you get 8 pages of these sketches basically from social media from some of the creators, and then you end with the exact same page that ends the first art book. And that's how it is. They're the changes. A new forward at the start replaces a page, and then you get 8 pages of sketches at the end that aren't a part of this book. So for me, even based on the new content, I don't think it's worth it to necessarily go out and buy this new book unless you're a collector and want that stuff in your collection like I did. I don't think just because you are an Avatar fan and you happen to buy some of the books, it should necessarily be a thing where you feel that you have to buy the second edition of the art book to get the new content. Like I showed you there, you can probably find all of those pieces of art to look at on Brian's Instagram. I actually am a little bit disappointed that they don't cover any of the stuff that is like the Blu-rays, because the way that that text goes, you know, they acknowledge that this book came out during the pandemic. Why not cover some of the stuff that's happened since then? Just literally continue on that ancillary art section and include, like, here is how we came to do the art for the Blu-ray set. Because it features, of course, already, the first edition of the book had it too, the DVD cover art, both the collected edition sets as well as the individual part sets. So why not cover the big Blu-ray release set and the art and the special edition Blu-ray art? That would have been really, really cool to see. Cover some of the stuff with the comics, because it's a Dark Horse book. Why not, you know, Gene Yang did your foreword, cover that the show continued, and give a sense of that art, just if not just to cross-promote. I don't get why the extras are literally just sort of like pencil sketch type stuff. Like I said, it is nice, it's just, I would have much preferred that maybe they did like 4 pages of that, and then the other 4 pages were covering the concept art and like how they did the art behind it. I would have loved to see the behind the scenes of how, you know, Brian went about designing the Blu-ray cover and so on. To me, that would have been much more interesting than just seeing the art that's already up there on their social media, which obviously when this book came out wasn't necessarily as big of a thing, getting to see so much of the kind of behind the scenes art on social media, but we do have it now. So cover some of the stuff that we didn't see, which is that stuff for products that have come out, and acknowledge that like it had a big success coming back on Blu-ray and so on. So yeah, there's the set basically. So your deluxe edition comes with the book with the shiny, little bit of shininess on the cover. You get your lithograph in your portfolio, and they both together fit into the slipcase. It's up to you pretty much as to what you want to do with this information. I personally, like I said, would really recommend the deluxe edition only to pretty hardcore collectors who, you know, you want to complete the Ravavatu image across the spines, and you really do value stuff like the extras that you get, the portfolio, the lithograph, the shininess on the cover. And if you happen to really like the idea of those new pages and new forward, then yes, there's something in this for you. But I think based on at least what I consider myself to know about my audience, I really feel that for most people, you probably don't need this. If you have this, it probably will be a little bit too much of a waste of money to buy either the deluxe or the standard edition. But if you are coming at this as someone completely new to the art books, I think there's actually a little bit more value to it, in that obviously if you're a collector and you're new to the art books, then maybe the deluxe edition is exactly what you want, and you're willing to pay a little bit over the kind of a nice price for this to get that deluxe edition. Or the standard second edition of the book that just comes with the standard non-shiny cover, that's probably what you want. I think at this stage there's pretty much no reason to probably get this book anymore, the original. Just get the second edition. That's pretty much what I'd say at this point. So yeah, like, unfortunately I feel like I've come across like pretty negative on this. Like, look, it's very well put together. Material wise, Dark Horse is really good. The only thing I'd be critical on from that point of view is just the quality of the lithograph. I guess it's on nice paper, but for the price that they are charging for the deluxe edition, I don't think it's good enough at all. I think that should look a whole lot better than it actually does, or come with like multiple prints or something like that. And I just don't get the whole idea of like a folio just to protect basically an art print. It just seems like a little bit too much for me, especially when the piece of art like is just the cover for the old book. It just feels a little bit like overkill and that they've overthought it. So yeah, there's my thoughts on it. And again, like I sort of knew going in that like the book 95% is identical to the previous one. So there's not a lot to talk about with the content of the book itself outside of the new stuff. And the new stuff isn't the most impressive. And like I said, I think there's other material they could have put in there, but they didn't. And I'm now kind of very interested to see what they do with sort of the new pages for the other stuff. Like, I'm guessing this is what they're going to do. They'll get some of the creative team to just do extra pieces of art from like 2020, 2021, and they'll just feature them as extras at the back of the book, which I guess is fine to add something extra, but I think probably a little bit more could be done if they wanted to. So yeah, there's my review for the Avatar: The Last Airbender Art of the Animated Series 2nd edition, Deluxe Edition. In the comments, let me know what your thoughts are on this. If you have any questions, also let me know in the comment section below, and I'll do my best to answer them. But that has been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.